Hello again. This is the final section of this week's presentation, and it's going to be the shortest one, so you're very near the end. But here's what I am thinking. I'm thinking that probably you've gone through all of this material and we've talked about things like functionalism and symbolic interactionism. We've talked about things like children's games and how they constitute identity, and about boys getting toy cars to play with and girls getting dolls to play with and this sort of thing. And you might be asking yourself, well, but this is political sociology. What does any of this have to do with politics? And the way that I'm going to answer that question for you is by asking you some questions. So these are the questions that I want you to be thinking about in the time between now, when you see this, and the time that we have our discussion section on Tuesday morning. And here are the questions. Yes. The first question is, I want you to try to make some practical applications. So think of a current socio-political issue in the region that we're looking at, in the so-called CIS region, in Central or Eastern or Southeastern Europe, or in Central Asia, or any part of the former Soviet space. Any issue that you have been thinking about, or reading about, or following in the news, and try to develop an explanation for what is happening from three perspectives. Try to think about it in a functionalist way, try to think about it in a conflict way, try to think about it in a symbolic interactionist way, and then look at them side by side. How do the different perspectives result in different understandings of the issue, and different potential political solutions? That is, what do they imply in terms of a political understanding of the issue? So that's the first thing that I want to ask you to do, is to try to apply these theoretical perspectives to some concrete issues. And the second thing that I want to ask you to do is to think a little bit about your own lives, about yourselves. Think about the particular class or national or gender identity, or it doesn't have to be only one identity. In many cases, a lot of us have multiple identities, especially when we talk about things like nationality. How did you come to get the identities that you have? What were the key institutions? What were the key moments? What are some ways in which power was applied to create the identity that you have? And why do you think that it happened this way? So these are the two sets of questions that I want you to think about in preparation for the morning that we get together for discussion. And our discussion is going to center around the approaches that you develop to these questions. So I will see you at our session.